Good morning, 8th grade. Today, while I'm away, would be a good chance to get to know one of the apps that we're going to be using throughout the rest of the quarter. But first, hopefully you've at least found today's folder on Schoology. If you haven't yet taken the attendance form, go ahead and do that so I can mark you here. We're going to be using a app today called Spark Post. It's a graphic creation piece of software, and this first project we're really just trying to get to know the tool itself and everything that it can do. So the first graphic I have you make is just on the topic of being positive and spreading positivity. So that's the topic that we're rolling with, but really, like I said, we're just getting a feel for the app itself as we move through the week here. So if you haven't yet downloaded it, you'll want to head to the app catalog and find Spark Post. Last Friday I had asked that you download 3 Adobe apps. I still have one to grab myself, but Spark Post is the one we'll be using today. This is an app that's best for you to just kind of get in and toy around with, but I'll show some of the basics here as well. You'll log in with your Google account, and I believe that's a pretty easy process, and then eventually you land here on this homepage that shows off a bunch of different templates and also shows what types of graphics can be created with the tool. To start your own post, you'll click the green plus sign in the bottom middle here and make your first decision of what your background will be. So you can, as you can see, have lots of options for that. Experiment with all of them. I like to use search free photos down here. It allows you to get in and use a image search right inside the app. So if we're going to create a poster on positivity, we could search, for instance, on the topic itself or some variation of it and try and find something that suits your fancy. I'll just go with this as an example here. You can add one photo or multiple photos in a grid. I'm just going to go with, I think, one for now, so I'll tap add one at the top right. The next decision is what size would you like to make it. We're going to be using the slide size. If you scroll all the way near the end of the list, this is the size that I think works best for our purposes later in the quarter, so we'll get used to using this size. Once you establish the size, you finally get into the app itself and start designing the rest of your graphic. So the first thing it wants me to do here is double tap to edit the text, and as you can see, I can move this text box anywhere I want. And it's up to you what you want to display for your text box. Again, the topic is simply positivity. We're just trying to give people words of encouragement on a Monday. Once you type something, it brings you back to the workspace here, and you can resize, move, rotate, and do whatever you want to do with the graphic, or the text, excuse me. I have all sorts of text editing options at the bottom here: font, color, shape, effect, etc. And those are worth looking through, but I usually have students start on the last option, which is the style tab. This has a little spinner, which is kind of neat. You can spin this around and it essentially rolls the dice on all of the different formatting options, and eventually you might just stumble into something that you really like. If there's a design that you kind of like, but I'd say I kind of like this, but maybe the text in this case is really washed out because it's this peach text color on yellow background. So if I wanted to go back and fine tune now, I could go to, for instance, the color tab and tap into the colors here and make decisions on what colors I want for the text and the accent arrows as well in this case. So one of the requirements is you do add a text box and experiment with some of those options so that you know how they work. Other things we can do when we click done is change, say, the colors of our project or the colors of our text box in this case. We could animate, we could do all sorts of things. But I'm going to click add again here and look at what else we can add into the mix. We could add another image if we wanted to. Since we've got smiles, let's keep looking for more here. So, oh boy. So let's say I want to add this photo into my workspace now. I can add one, and I can either make a collage out of it or move freely, which means I can, well, move it around in its own space here. I can tap on the background and put different kinds of looks on it, like I can darken it, for instance. I could make it all black and white or do whatever I want to do to the background as well. One last thing that we'll be adding is an icon, and this is another requirement of your project. And since I'm on the smile theme here, I'll just continue to add that for me, but whatever you'd like to do, that is completely up to you. And again, these icons are just little clip arts. They're kind of singular colors, so you can get in and edit those colors as well, just by tapping around in the images. By this Friday, I've set a due date for creating your first graphic. And I'll look through the rubric here again with you in a second, but these are the basic requirements: is to have a background image, mess around with the text options, add a graphic, and now we'll show how to export the project. Before I export, I'm going to remove the watermark at the bottom right by tapping on it once and removing the watermark. That just kind of cleans it up. Then I'll be tapping the top right share button and simply saving image. That saves it right to my iPad. So from there I could go ahead and make a post on Schoology. Looking at the rubric, I've accomplished everything I wanted to do here. The size is slide. It has at least one text box. It has at least one icon and at least one photo. So just practicing the app, making graphics to post. Go to the discussion side, tap the blue plus sign, attach, choose from library. In my recents, I would find a picture that I just made and save to my iPad. Green check mark, and then we have to make a comment for Schoology to allow us to post. So that's what I'd like to see get started today. Again, due by Friday, this assignment, and that's been put on your Schoology calendar. Hope to be back tomorrow.